Hello everyone, I'm Vittorio. Welcome to a CodeBeaver demo. CodeBeaver is the best way to keep your code stable. So I'm opening a pull request. I've already installed CodeBeaver on my GitHub. Let's take a look at what happens when I create a pull request here. So 3 tests added and 2 tests updated to reflect recent changes. Then I found 1 bug, and then it's telling me that out of 15 tests I have in my codebase, 12 passed and 3 did not, due to the bug that he found before. So how does CodeBeaver do this? And so the reason is simple. The reason is it is looking at my code, and it's looking at the test results, and it's looking at the comments in my code. So the secret here is that, let's take a look at my pull request. I added a description or a comment in another language for each function, just briefly explaining what the function is supposed to do. This informs CodeBeaver about how your code should behave. And that's how it's able to identify bugs. So this is a very quick demo of CodeBeaver. It's free for open source repositories. We have an aggregated 30,000 GitHub stars already using it. If you're not open source, it's free for the first 14 days. Then it's $12 a month per developer. So it's a no-brainer. You should check it out. It's codebeaver.ai.